Coming up in the LCS preview show, Skara steps down, RNA leaves the LCS, and we break down the biggest games of the week. Plus, we reveal the top 5 pro plays that had you tweeting your fingers off. Don't touch that browser. The LCS preview show starts right now.
Alliance are just going to run on through the base and take down Gam.
There is 3 new players stepping in to cover for Snoopy, Yellow P, and Preshow.
It's another kill for Peke and another win for Fnatic. They go 2-0 this week.
Oh my God, Coast comes up with a huge play.
The quadra kill coming in for Shifter 6.
Absolutely phenomenal performance from Rocket.
They are going to break their bad run against SK.
The swag lord himself just trots out with his red pants on.
Help.
Afro with the Superman
Flash.
Yo, man, I got your back.
What's up, everyone? I'm Rivington Bism III, hanging here at the LCS studios with Joshua Jet Leesman. How you doing this morning, Jet?
I'm doing good. It's today for some, this morning for others.
Right?
It is the morning for us, and I'm doing well. As this week in the LCS, people try to position themselves before that final Super Week.
We're going to see if they can. Before we get to our top story, remember, if you want us to break down a champ, go next level on an outplay, or just want to say hi, be sure to hit us up at LOL Esports and use the hashtag LCS Preview. Our top story today, however, is about the end of an era. On Tuesday, Dignitas announced that legendary mid laner Skara would be stepping down and possibly moving to a coaching role. He will be replaced in the starting lineup by former Complexity Red mid Golden Glue. After 78 regular season games, 4 playoff matches, and a trip to All-Stars, one of North America's most popular players now finds himself on the bench heading into the final weeks of the split.
Yeah, and this one hits a bit close to home for me because Skara and I started our League of Legends career together, really. You know, back in the summer of 2011, I was watching Rock Solid before we became Dignitas, and this relatively unknown player named Skara was always up on CS against whoever he was playing against. Then when I was on the team, when we started playing together, he was so good at mid lane, all we had to do was group for Dragon, and with his lane advantage, it would allow us to win team fights. But, you know, over the last 3 years, his long career in the league, other people have caught up to him, and they have now finally started to surpass him. This split in particular has actually been his worst split ever statistically. He has the second lowest KDA, least kills, and most deaths amongst mid laners in the entire LCS. But while he struggled this spring, Skara has had a distinguished career. He's been around the competitive scene from the start, and it's a big reason why Dignitas is as big as they are now. He was the most popular player in North America last year, as he received 50% of the North American All-Star votes on his way to representing the NALCS in Shanghai. And in the most deadly one-game performance ever, Skara actually racked up 19 kills against TSM in a game last year. He's also been a big influence on many of today's pros. Link tweeted on Tuesday that, quote, "I learned a lot from playing Skara in solo queue all the time and watching his stream." And you know, that sentiment was echoed by pros all across the league. Many players looked up to him as they were starting to become players. We will have to see if Skara stays on the bench of Dignitas, becomes a coach, retires, or even finds life with another team. But even if we've seen the last of Skara in the LCS, he's already had a Hall of Fame career.
And with that, let's take a look back at the games of Week 9 and what could be Skara's last time on the LCS stage in a Dignitas jersey. Starting off with these highlights, Curse versus Dignitas as they get ready to take on the 9-11 Curse here.
Yeah, this was a very interesting game to start. Bunny Fufu and Cop really showing how they can come up big in a 2v2.
Strong plays, Bunny Fufu with the initiations on threats over and over, and there's got to be always the pursuit from the Cops here, and obviously he's going to give
Too many
pursuit.
minions. Some sneaky plays by Cop as he was able to finish him off, but Cutie Pie had to run because of the minions.
And everybody remembers the hashtag LCS big play. Quas looked like he was going down, but the savior from Void Boy's wild growth all the way from mid lane.
Yeah, nice counter pick by Quas there. He was big there.
Coming into this game, Curse just really had the number of Dignitas. This one going, just leveling out one after the other, it seemed, as Dig was seemingly only about to lose 2, but then it turns into 3 and 4.
Yeah, everybody on Dignitas decided to die. They were just like, maybe we can save it. Maybe. Oh, actually, no, that's a really bad idea if we all try to stick together, because Quas was collapsing down from the top lane. He took his domination from the top, brought it bot lane, gets the 4 kills.
All in all, Curse have dominated Dig this split, winning all 3 games. Our next highlight comes from Evil Geniuses versus Counter Logic Gaming, with EG fielding 3 subs in the place of Snoopy, Crepo, and Yellow P.
Yeah, and it wasn't even one of the subs who ends up giving up first blood to EG at level 1 in a 2v1. Inox falls to Afremu and Doublelift. That cannot happen for EG if they want to stay in this league.
And somewhere Dexter was the entire time inside EG's jungle, but Robert actually had the fancy footwork and fingers to make it out of this one alive with the help of Ken.
He's got to use that Evault first, then he'd have enough burst damage to take down Robert X. Lee, but instead, it does take the entire EG team to take him down. Maybe that just made Dexter angry.
And it makes it inevitable. However, in the end, you see Doublelift going very hard. GA on the vein, tumbling in, kill after kill as Doublelift does it best, and they're able to pick up the win over EG.
Yeah, CLG real strong. They're really going to try and make a push for that number 2 seed, but they got a long way to go.
TSM versus Dig is our next highlight. Scar is back one last time, as he was to face his old rival in TSM.
Ooh, that's a huge solar flare right there from X Special. Pretty much deciding the fight, but the rest of TSM was strong coming into this one as well. What could be an unfortunate last game for Scar because they got destroyed in this one.
It really was just the same thing over and over again. X Special had marksmanship with his solar flares. Again now, Crumbs brought out the Kale for jungle this time, but he couldn't even use the intervention.
Can't use it when you're stunned up. And he actually has the only death for TSM in that fight as AmaCutiePie took him down with the Quinn pick, which was very unexpected, but an expected result from this one. TSM dominated.
Quick work there. Victory in just 24 minutes with X Special's initiations. Coast versus CLG is our next highlight. Team Coast led by Shifter taking on CLG, led by Doublelift. But here, it was Link and Dexter to get it started.
Yeah, Link had some nice words for Shifter before the game, saying he was by far the best player on Coast, but that they were going to focus him. That's what they did there, and here's why.
Yeah, they tried to shut him down, but they really could not. Flashing face first into this fight to quickly pick up a quadra kill for himself as his team scatters to give him just enough time to get all that he needs.
Here's that big auto attack coming in. Shifter the God is what everyone was saying on Twitter right after this one. He was trying to single-handedly win the game for Coast.
And just when you thought Coast had that comeback, a quick step out of line gets Nintendo X caught by Afremu, and it was all that CLG needed to take it.
Everyone on CLG could just collapse on a Shifter. Then once you kill him, there's not much left to kill on Coast because he was doing all the damage for the team.
CLG continues to climb the ladder. Shifter continues to impress despite his team not playing well. And now with 9 weeks of the NA LCS action in our rearview mirror, let's take a look at where the teams sit in the standings heading into the final 6 games. Thanks to their 2-0, Counter Logic Gaming has joined Team Solo Mid and Cloud9 as guaranteed participants in the postseason.
Yeah, Team Solomon is actually just 1 win away from locking in a first-round bye, while Cloud9 still needs 3 more wins. On the other end of the spectrum, however, XGG and Evil Geniuses are 1 game out of 6th and that final playoff spot with 6 games remaining.
And last week, Team Solo Mid fans celebrated the return of Bjerger King to the mid lane, and he did not disappoint. Bjergsen put up 20 kills over the 2 games and moved closer to cementing his place as the most deadly player in LCS history.
Yeah, and this is crazy. Despite missing 6 games, the equivalent of 3 normal weeks of LCS this split, Bjergsen's still a threat to overtake ManCloud's LCS kill record. Right now, Bjergsen has 121 kills. That puts him 45 kills behind ManCloud, who interestingly enough, actually broke the record that Bjergsen and Alex each set during the Season 3 spring split. In order to get the 46 kills needed to dethrone ManCloud, Bjergsen needs 7.83 kills per game over the next 2 weeks. And based on his kills per game average so far this spring, that is not impossible. Bjergsen is averaging 7.56 kills per game, the highest of any player in LCS history with at least 16 games played. He's currently outpacing his own record of 6.91 kills per game that he set back in the EU spring split when he had Alex each tying the record for most kills in a split over there. And he did that in 5 fewer games. So he's looking to break ManCloud's mark in 6 fewer games, which would be even a bigger accomplishment. And what Bjergsen is on the brink of accomplishing is nothing less than amazing. If he averages 7.83 kills per game, he's going to do it.
Well, we'll see if Bjergsen can keep the kills coming as the teams take to the Rift twice this week. Up first on Saturday, Golden Glue makes his Dignitas debut when they take on Evil Geniuses, who definitely have Yellow P and Snoopy back, but might be without Crepo again this week. Then on Sunday, the day kicks off with CLG battling XDG Gaming. Then once the pros have finished their day, Vasily and LMQ try to take home their 2nd straight challenger title when they face off against Bishu and Cloud9 Tempest. And that brings us to the North American BF Game of the Week, the battle between Counter Logic Gaming and Team Solo Mid. Even though these 2 teams have locked in playoff spots, they're both fighting for first round buys. If Team Solo Mid can beat Counter Logic Gaming, they will lock in the first round bye and sweep the spring split series with Counter Logic Gaming. But plus, it would keep TSM's hopes of tying Cloud9's record for most wins in a split alive. And if you go by the numbers, this matchup looks pretty good for Team Solo Mid. only Counterlogic Gaming's Doublelift has a KDA of more than 2 against Team Solo Mid, while everyone on Reggie's crew has a KDA of more than 4.8. And in a shock to no one, Bjergsen leads the way with a KDA of 11.7 against Counterlogic Gaming. But despite the lopsided results of this split, CLG did sweep Team Solo Mid last summer and have gone 10-3 since Dexter has started murdering jungle camps for them this spring. Plus, CLG is basically in a must-win situation if they want to keep their hopes of that first round bye alive. So Counterlogic Gaming will have even more motivation than usual to hand their longtime rivals their 4th loss of the split. Now for a look, more on the look on the 4.4 patch and the changes in store for the LCS. Let's send it across the studio to Jat.
Thanks, Riv. The 4.4 patch promises to affect the early game of the LCS pros more than any patch so far in the 2013 season. And here's why. First up is the change to trinkets. The big thing here is the fact that they now can only be placed 2 minutes into the game as opposed to 1:30, which before was allowing teams to put down very defensive wards, and now they kind of have to go on blind, amongst other changes like the swap cooldown being decreased as well for more versatility late game. Another thing that is changing here is the Lich Bane. This one was mainly a nerf that I think was targeted at Lulu, even though Lulu is still probably going to be seen. She still has a lot going for her, but she shouldn't be as devastating damage-wise late game. That'll be one that I really want to keep track of. I think we're still going to see Lulu. Then a change that might be surprising to some people is that Heimerdinger, I think, is going to see some LCS play this week. The big thing here is his turrets do scale with his ability power now as it gets later into the game, which means even the normal turrets, effective health because they have 80 armor at level 18, will have 1,539 effective health against like an 80 carry, someone who could take it down. But the big thing is the giant turret, that when he ults the big Q there, its effective health at level 18 is 5,130 if he has a lot of ability power. And that is something you have to make a concerted effort to kill down. Faker actually played Heimerdinger in a Masters match last night, even though it was kind of an All-Star Legends game. I think we might see it in the LCS now that Faker's taken its toll with it. And another big change here is Elise. She got hit pretty hard in the early game. Damage taken down on Q. She doesn't kill neutral monsters as much. The stun is only 1 second early on in the game. But with all that being said, she's been taken down a pretty heavy notch. I still think we're going to see her because she provides a lot of versatility to the teams. Aside from that, though, we don't have too much else going on in the LCS that is LCS impacting. And for one last look at the 4.3 patch, let's head back down to Riv.
Thank you very much, Chat. Even though 4.3 has come and gone faster than Rammus powerballing through a J-scape, let's pause for a moment and look back at the most played champs during those few glorious weeks on 4.3. Let's start with the European LCS, who had only 1 week on the patch, but as you can see, a few new champs made an appearance at the top of the charts. Notably Kha'Zix, who evolved from a hardly ever pick to a ban pick priority. Then there's Karma, who was the only support to make the top tier of picks, and the North American picks, on the other hand, had 2 weeks to play around with the 4.3 patch, and their most played champs look a little bit different. Morgana shackled the most picks for supports in the NA over the last 2 weeks, thanks in part to the change in Spell Thief, while Renekton and Shyvana remain atop the top lane standings. Even though Lucian is tied with the Half-Dragon for most picks last week, he has yet to garner a single ban in the North American LCS this spring. It just proves that whether it's the prom or the bot lane, it's always good to have a backup plan. Now for a look at a champ who has an enormous laser shooting eye focused on becoming one of the most picked mid laners. Let's send it back over to Jat.
Yeah, while the players at home have been able to disintegrate enemy mid laners for a month now, Vel'Koz is finally making his way into the LCS champion pool. In fact, he has an entire tool bag of kill potential at his disposal. All 4 of his skills and even his passive deal a bunch of damage. At level 18, his passive alone does 205 true damage. Add that to the extremely long range of his kit, and he has the potential to bring a lot of pain to the mid lane. Look at those ranges. Everything can be used from a very far ways away. Basically, he's able to inflict that much damage because all of his skills are skill shots that are somewhat difficult to land. While that makes his kill potential high against slow champs, it does make him vulnerable to high mobility champions. And since we're in the LCS and mobility is super key in the current crop of mid laners, it's unlikely that we'll see Vel'Koz anytime soon. But hey, I never thought I'd see an Ohm Wrecker on Renekton either. Riv, back to you.
If we do see Vel'Koz floating down the mid lane this week, he'll join the ranks of 85 other champs who have seen playing time on the Rift this year. So let's take a look. Last week, QtPie hatched a plan to play Quinn against Team Solo Mid, but despite the fact that Demasia's wings got clipped by TSM, it did bring us just 6 champs short of last year's total. That was 91 champs played. Now, I'd like to take a moment and give some love to a player who correctly predicted that Quinn would be the next champ to make her LCS debut. Way to go, SG Pouliot 39. Nice work for the prediction. If you think you've got the knowledge to drop on the next champ that will get picked, then hit us up at LOL Esports and hashtag it LCS Preview. Now let's shift our attention over to Europe, where earlier this week, former Millennium jungler Arnea announced via Facebook that he was stepping down from his starting role on the last place LCS squad Millennium. In that post, which he quoted both Muhammad Ali and Batman, Arnea made it clear that he's not retiring, but simply stepping down from Millennium. He also blames himself for his performance and apologizes for his role in former coach Ali's involvement with the team. And now for more on Arnea's departure from the LCS, I'd like to welcome Shox to the show. What's up, Shox?
What's up, Riv? Very excited for the games today.
Absolutely. So recently you spoke to Arnea about stepping down. What did he have to say about the situation?
Well, when I spoke to Arne, he basically reiterated the points that he made in his post, that he had lost his motivation and his ability to shot call, and that his attitude had shifted from wanting to win to not wanting to perform poorly. And as you pointed out, Riv, in the post he made it clear that he is not retiring, but so far there isn't a new team on the horizon. He told me that he will stay out of league for a week, take a trip with his family, support Millennium, and get back to university. He also hinted that he might be around during Super Week to close out this chapter in his LCS career.
All right, thank you very much for the info, Shox. We'll be sure to check back with you later in the show.
My pleasure, Riv. See you later.
All right, well, no one knows what the future holds for Arnea. There are a couple of things we do know. One is that Millennium will be starting Cotton X in the jungle this week. Interestingly enough, Arnea actually replaced him on Team Alternate last year. And the second we know for sure, the European LCS studio will be a little quieter without Arnea on the stage. So now let's take a trip away back last Thursday and check out the biggest moments from the European LCS Week 9. Kicking things off with our game of the week, it was Gambit versus Alliance. First blood was not very long into the game as they were able to find what looked like Alexich's first blood, but it was a 2v1 he wasn't ready for.
Yeah, Froggen actually got going in this game. Hey Riff, how's it going? The big thing about this one is Froggen just got going on kill. It is crazy how powerful he got in this one.
Next up, it's only going to be at 15 minutes. Edward gets a little too close. Gets himself bubbled in there. You can see Froggen taking control of the game for his team. And what you usually think is a Gambit win, Alliance comes out huge in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's because Alliance had the 14,000 gold advantage coming into this one. Froggen was absolutely massive. You saw he basically two-shot Genja in that fight, and then the rest of Alliance just had to chase down Gambit.
Alliance continues to pick up momentum, picking up a huge win there, coming off a perfect Super Week. Rawcat versus Fnatic is our next highlight to look at. Whenever these guys face off, you got to keep your eye on these two gentlemen.
Yeah, and Overpower had a pretty big advantage in this lane, and then messed up the turret dive a little bit on xPeke. That gave Peke a lot of gold that Rocket's going to come to regret in a little bit.
You got to expect top play even in death. Coming up at the next one, 33 minutes in the flash body slam. You didn't even think it was in range, but Peke made it work.
Yeah, gets the big double. He ended up turning that one into a triple kill, and then Fnatic had an even bigger lead. They really just took the gold, continued to crescendo it up, and Peke finishes off Vander. Walk away.
Just walk away from the explosion. They make a big hit there, building on their momentum from IEM. Fnatic seem to be back on the rise for themselves. Rawcat versus SK, the next one to look at. They would try to stop their slide here against SK.
Yeah, Rawcat had a pretty nice turret dive here. The top lane Lulu definitely caught SK by surprise a little bit. Freddy was not ready for this on Jackson. He got tower dived and punished early.
Yeah, Rawcat made the double AP work early, and then we see a three-man crescendo from Vander. Haven't seen Sona in a little while, but he's making it work.
Yeah, Vander with some really good reaction time there. If he didn't get that ultimate off immediately, he would have been dead, and Rawcat would have been the ones getting 3 deaths, but Vander made it work. They get 3 kills.
Rawcat with a lot of momentum in this game. Jezz knew it, and he tries one last time, going for broke, but it was just too strong of a Rawcat team. They throw their hands up in victory.
Yeah, they're pretty happy they won that one. Rocket's been in the big slump lately.
Yep. 4-game losing streak broke there as we move on to Alliance versus the super hot crew. Selfie up against Froggen in his LCS start. Second LCS, I should say.
Yeah, it's a tough mid laner to be going up against, someone with as much experience as Froggen. And the mid lane rise worked for some, not so much for others. He does get one back at the start of the game here, though.
And great team play really coming from everybody on the team, helping to secure a double kill coming in here for Froggen. It was a bit back and forth, but they're able to get it.
Oh, poor Selfie. He gets bounced around right here. The turret would not give up. That gave Froggen a little bit too much gold as he continues this chase on.
Yeah, it goes a little bit longer than you would expect. Froggen missing most of his body slams here, but picks up a good amount of kills.
Oh, flashed away. Anyway, they were able to chase down Mr. Rollins, and they did not let this go.
There was a great play coming all around. There's not much you can do when Froggen's playing like that with the rest of the team. And this cast into the hook was amazing. Selfie, they had his number all game.
Yeah, Rise, a lot of times you think you're really tanky, but that doesn't mean you can take the hits from all 5 of the other team as you're standing at your turret. That end of the game.
It does not equal that for sure. 6 wins in a row for Alliance. Now they're in a tie for 3rd place.
They are on fire.
Looking pretty good. And with that, Week 9 of the EU LCS is sitting in our match history. So let's take a look at the table. Gambit and SK Gaming are sitting on top and getting ready for today's epic showdown, but more on that later.
Yeah, coming in a 3-way tie for 3rd place, it is Alliance who is so hot, and Fnatic who both went 2-0 last week, and then Rocket who finished 1-1. While languishing underneath the table and on the brink of elimination from the postseason is Millennium, who went 0 for 2 in their matches last week.
All right, now let's shift our focus from the bottom of the table to the top, where the hottest team in the European LCS is looking to complete an epic comeback. And for more on Froggen and Alliance, I'd like to welcome Quick Shot to the show.
Hey, Riv, I'm actually looking forward to talking about Alliance in a positive light. I was one of their harshest critics at the beginning of the split.
I know we talked a little bit about Alliance last week, but after a pair of near-perfect performances on the Rift, I think they warrant another discussion.
Oh yeah, when we last talked about Alliance, I asked questions about their ability to perform consistently at a high level. And all of those questions were answered loud and clear last week as Froggen and the rest of Alliance went 2-0. They've now won 6 games in a row. I think Alliance started the spring split looking incredibly inconsistent. They lost all 4 games in their opening Super Week, then they proceeded to win all their games in Week 2 and lose all the games in Week 3 and win all the games in Week 4. It just seems, as a team, they only found some balance several weeks ago, and it was from that balance they were able to stabilize the overall gameplay. This then in turn allowed them to level up individually and their team-based play to earn that 6-game winning streak. I think if they beat Rocket today, they will tie Fnatic's 7-game winning streak from earlier this split, and they actually have a chance to break it tomorrow on Friday against SK Gaming.
What an incredible turnaround it's been for Alliance, a team that sat in the bottom 3, 4-6 out of the first 7 weeks of the split. And then they've gone from a major disappointment to a potential spring split champion now.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with you. And on a side note, these next 6 games for Alliance could actually be very interesting for that playoff race. Alliance are already 2-2 against the Super Hot crew. And based off the results of their next 6 games, their last 6 games of the split, Alliance could actually finish with a 2-2 record against every single team in the LCS. It does mean that we're realistically facing a tiebreaker situation, much like we had at the end of the summer split last year.
And of course, a lot of Alliance's recent success can be attributed to the guy who not only built the team, but carried them with his 2nd straight MVP performance.
Yeah, back-to-back MVPs for Froggen based off his incredibly consistent gameplay across multiple champions. He's played and won with 6 different champions in his last 6 games. And last week in the pre-show, we also talked about Froggen. I brought up questions about his ability to roam the map and move away from that very heavy, farm-centric gameplay that's associated with old-school Season 2 mid laners. But in the 2 games that he played that weekend, he answered my questions. He played against Gambit and Super Hot Crew, and Froggen moved around the map, he supported his side lanes, he was helping his team get a lead, and it was early rotations with champions like Gragas last week that really stood out for me. I'd like to see this trend continue, especially if Alliance want to keep up this strong run of form that they've found.
All right, Quick Shot, thank you very much for the knowledge buff. We'll let you get ready for the European LCS broadcast.
Yeah, it really is my pleasure, and I'm looking forward to this week's games to see how much closer we are to those tiebreakers that we all know and love in Europe.
All right, we'll get a clearer picture of just how many tiebreakers we are facing in the European LCS after this week's 8 games. Warming up on the blue side of the LCS stage right now is Cotton X and Millennium, with the Copenhagen Wolves getting set up on the red side. That's followed by a battle for first place between SK Gaming and Gambit. Then Friday features a fight between SK Gaming and Alliance as they face off for one of the top spots in the league. And just a heads up, Friday's matches start 2 hours earlier, so we can bring you the best of the 3 challenger finals between the Ninjas and Pajamas and Departed live from the LCS stage. And that brings us to our BF game of the week, today's battle for first place between SK Gaming and Gambit. Both teams come into the game 13-9 record, but Gambit holds a lead in the head-to-head matches at 2-1. Edward and crew have been the most consistent team in Europe this year. They are the only squad to win a game in every week of the split, and if they can take out SK Gaming today, they'll not only have a 1-game lead in the race for first place, they will own the tiebreaker against second place SK. While a win for Candy Panda and squad would mean 1-game buffer between them and Gambit, and even up the season series just in case there's a tie, like that would ever happen. Now for an inside look at SK and Gambit's game as they plan to play and prepare for today's fight, I'd like to welcome Shocks back to the show. Shocks, what did the first 2 place teams have to say when you spoke to them?
Well, I recently spoke to Gambit's Edward, and he had a lot of nice things to say about SK's jungler Svenskeren and their bottom lane combo of Candy Panda and Enrated. He said that they have given Gambit problems since 2012, and now they finally have the complementary pieces to make SK a dominant team. He also respects Svenskeren's ability to smite away Barons and Dragons, and knows his team needs to avoid putting themselves in risky situations around those objectives. But Edward did have some criticism of SK's solo lanes. He pointed out that SK's mid laner Jessis will only play safe, non-aggressive champions, and that their top laner Freddy has a small champion pool. I would look at Gambit to focus what they see as weak spots in SK's lineup in picks and bans, and with some early game pressure out of the jungle. Now, on the other hand, SK's Jessis said that he's not scared of anything Gambit can bring out other than a couple of Alex's champions, but even then, he's confident he knows how to handle them. Now, Enrated pointed out that Gambit is very consistent in their picks and bans, but also said that Gambit's players are not top-notch anymore. He says that if they can defend against Diamond's early ganks, their lanes should pull ahead and snowball for the win. Now, Enrated is confident that early pressure by his team will lead to the win, while Jessis believes that they are the stronger team right now, and if they learn from their previous losses and prepare well, and I quote, it shouldn't be that hard to beat them.
All right, Shocks, thank you very much for the info. We'll see you in a couple minutes for Game 1 of the European LCS.
Always a pleasure. Very much looking forward to those games.
And with the LCS Prime to go off in just about 3 minutes, it's time for the top 5 plays from last week's LCS action, also known as the Penta.
Yeah, coming in at number 5, Robert X. Lee sets the modified Yordle trap up for Dexter.
Oh, Robert X. Lee.
That's unlucky.
Left kick, right kick, hate spike, coming in with some more damage. Cupcake.
Trap.
A cupcake.
Friends on the trap.
Oh, no, he comes up big with the Yordle trap. It's not even a Yordle. He modified it to work, and he gets his own blue buff.
And the number 4, Vorba comes out of nowhere for the save.
Get out of that engagement, but Quas finds himself in a bad spot. He does have Dominate just on the backside. I don't know if it's going to help, though. They get down into Crumbs. He thinks he can do the damage. Crumbs gets the safeguard over, blocking some of the execute.
Wild growth from over the wall. Quas is going to live. The lifesteal. Is it good enough? And it is.
What a support move by Boy.
Coming in at number 3, Selfie with the Selfie Juice.
Curb's going to get caught out. That's going to stun him up there. The finish should come through. Wow. There it is. And now on towards Aaron Air. Can he get a second one? He will not.
It's the clone. It's the clone.
It's the clone, though.
Oh, it's the clone. Coming in at number 2, X Special just lights up Dignitas.
Oh my God!
Oh, he almost hits the entire team with the stun, but he gets a force low. Cruiser from the backside. Crumbs, having to use his own intervention, saves himself for a bit, but it's a double kill coming in for the odd one. They start tearing apart Dignitas at the Dragon Pit, and Cruiser's going to be the last one to go down. A clean ace for Team Solo Mid.
This solar flare from X Special, my God, he just starts it up. By the time Crumbs gets out of stun lock, he's at 100 HP.
And topping our list at number 1, Shifter drops bombs on CLG.
The same health. Dexter goes in, gets the blast out of Wiz Fusion. A huge boomerang going to the team.
Shifter flashes
picks
in.
up the back line. Shifter going for the aggressive flash into the fight. And Nintendo's going to stay alive here with everybody else in the team.
Let's make six. Oh, God.
The boomerang misses. The triple for Shifter. The satchel to try to save his teammate. The quadra kill coming in for Shifter 6. And they take control of the game at Baron.
Yeah, Shifter the God was what people were saying on Twitter after that one, and it's going to be tricky for them as they move on. All those highlight plays still didn't grant them the victory. Coast, the team's got to step up.
Everybody's really trying to put their carry pants on at the end of the season. It's the time they need to. They better fit right. That does it for another exciting episode of the LCS Preview Show, but before we go, at Gameronomist asked for it, and here it is. Balls chasing Shifter, set to a less expensive version of Yakety Sax, or as we like to call it, our last hit.
But it looks like Shifter's going to try to waddle his way to safety.
He's bouncing here. Once he runs into his own minion wave, though. Oh, no, Balls already uses his slice.
I don't know how much they're going to tunnel. They have a good push on mid lane, but they don't wrap their
Dios,
seats
I
there.
saw that.
All right, Shifter's still on the chase.
He's
I
got
want
this.
his shoes. What's he wearing? He is going for the long haul.
Oh, Shifter, no!
No, he finds him in the base.
Balls never gives up.